Chaos, guys, absolute chaos. There are a lot of F1 threads at which we need to pull for this video, so strap yourself in. It might be a long one. I think I've got a pretty good read on everything, so I think I can add some value here. If you're interested in what my thoughts are, definitely keep watching. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This Mexican Grand Prix 2024 has been nothing but chaos, so let's jump straight into it. We're going to start at the start, the restart, the turn 4s, the turn 7s, Max and Lando's. I've got some notes which we're going to run through. Okay, so with the start, the first thing that I was very surprised to see was Oscar Piastri on the mediums. Again, like McLaren race operations, what are you doing? Like, well, I said yesterday that all the guys that got kicked out in Q1, their best bet was to start on the hard tyre and pray. That's exactly what I said. Those were my words. Pray for a safety car, pray for some sort of intervention so that the medium tires don't get their advantage, don't get to stretch their legs and pull away. You sit there on the hard tire and they fall back into your window, back into your court. That's exactly what I said Franco should do. Finally, he did that, which is good. He executed a good one-stop race. But to see a professional level outfit like McLaren put Oscar on the mediums, like I've seen everything from McLaren, honestly. They are not a race team, they are an engineering team. Let's talk about the start, and the launch from Max was god tier, like great launch. You remember, he's on the dirty side of the track. We saw when the race winner Carlos came across to win the race and celebrate how much dust he sprayed up. That gives you an indication of where Max was starting and the grip level he would have had in that P2 box. Absolutely top level launch. There was not much Carlos could do to really defend that, just because it was in the initial launch. Like, it was all over before it started. And Max then gets to the inside, does the Max things, takes control of the corner and leads coming around the first corner. So absolutely beautiful launch. And good from Carlos and Lando. They all kept it pretty clean as well. And Carlos, he realized that he went off the track, and then it was interesting to see him just let Max back through. And, you know, all of the drama about penalties and this and that, like, that's something we didn't really see from Lando and McLaren in Austin. So big props to Carlos there. That was the mature, professional approach. Served him well. Turns out he won the race. So there you go. Let's talk about the accident quickly. Turn 1, lap 1 between Alex Albon and Yuki Tsunoda. I think it was no one's fault. It was just a little bit clumsy from both sides. From Alex's side, you need to be aware of the cars that are around you. And this is not a criticism by any means. Like, it was there were millimeters in it. It looked like a big crash, but there was only just a brush. So just, you know, having a bit more awareness would have or could have helped. But, like, again, no blame on Alex here. And Yuki's just gone into some clean space and track ahead of him, but he's also forgotten and underestimated how wide and big these Formula One cars are as well. Like, they've only just touched, guys. Total racing incident, no one's fault, but it's just chaos down there at turn 1, lap 1. So potentially those are some of the areas in which they can look into. As a coach, I'm always of the opinion, like, try to look at yourself and ask yourself what you could have done better. There's always something you can do. So I'm not sure if Alex was scanning his mirrors. I'm not sure if Yuki was scanning his mirrors. Yuki definitely had some room on the left there as well. I don't think he was close to track limits, like in terms of the right front tire. So there's always little bits and pieces here and there, but no one's fault. And again, that's the sort of thing that can play into the hands of those starting on the hard compound tire. So then we've got the safety car restart. And this is one of the areas where Max Verstappen is underrated. He knows when he needs to go early. He also knows when he needs to go late and just cruise down the pit straight for a little bit and then go. In this particular case, and he reads it case by case, he's so good at this, the start-finish line in Mexico is towards the front, like towards the start of the straight. And obviously that's when the race is going to be switched on and activated. So there'd be no point for Max to cruise around that final corner and run out of time and squeeze the points at which at one point he's going to have to go, and then he would have been toast down into turn 1. So Max did the smart thing and tried to get out of one of the slow corners first and build an advantage. Excellent restart. 10 out of 10. Excellent quality restart, like I say. So then as the race unfolds, we see the Ferrari with the upper hand and Carlos Sainz starting to close in, and he gets DRS first against Max. And it was really interesting to see, guys, again, an absolute no fuss approach from Carlos. Bang, straight up the inside, caught Max by surprise. Exactly the sort of thing that we said Lando needs to do. And he's very predictable, Lando. He's attacking around the outside and Max can control the corner and there's no surprise element. Max knows what's coming and all that sort of thing. We're going to get onto the accident itself later on. But what I'm trying to say is this is the way to attack Max. You go for the inside, you take him by surprise, and you do something slightly outside of the box that he's not expecting. And when I say it was a level-headed approach to switch the cars back around and give him the lead back, secondary, it was another professional level approach, the way he just cut straight through Max, no fuss, no questions asked. And it was kind of easy in a way. He just made it look simple. And it just, all of the fuss about Austria and this one in Mexico as well. Lando, even though I think Lando was in the right in most of the cases here, he might want to take a leaf out of that book and just, that's how it's done. You know, that's the blueprint moving forward. Okay, so now we're going to get to the drama. Now we're going to get to the juicy action, the part you've all been waiting for. Turn 4, who was at fault, who was to blame, was the penalty fair, and so on. So Lando gets a good run out of turn 3, obviously the short straight with the DRS, pulls to the outside. He didn't really have a choice there. Max was holding onto the inside. Brakes nice and deep this time, so a good braking zone from Lando. I think in Austria he was just too cautious. Remember, when you're on the outside, you've got the racing line, you've got the grip. Max is the one braking on all of the dust. So he does get sufficiently alongside. And in this particular case, I think Lando was absolutely entitled to some racing room here. He wasn't in Austria because I don't think he got sufficiently alongside. Whereas in this case, I think he did get sufficiently alongside. We speak about the apex rule and the stewards use the apex rule. Whilst I understand the intention and they're trying to draw a line somewhere and say, at which point are you ahead and at which point do we measure this? I still believe it has massive limitations and it needs to be looked at holistically and a case-by-case basis. As we go through this video, I'm going to show you some examples where it doesn't really hold water. But let's start by saying the apex is not officially even defined in the rules. So we don't know at which point the apex is. In this corner, it's not too bad because it's a shorter corner. It's just a shallow apex. But when the corner drags on for a long time, and it could be wet, for example, then you've got dramas like where is the apex? So trying to place the apex will be a challenge moving forward with that rule. Secondly, the apex is not just one point. It could also be a region. If you look at the curb here, it's a nice short curb, but generally the curb will help you have a look at where the apex is. That is the inside corner curb. So I'll show you some pictures here of Max, but obviously there's a point at which Lando's ahead going in. He's ahead at the curb, but then there's a point at which Max also starts to get ahead and get the upper hand in the corner as well. So the other thing is that the apex rule doesn't also speak to who's on the inside, which I think is more valuable, because if you've got like Lando in front here, but then, and I'm just going to use my hands, Lando's in front here, but then Max is on the inside, you still can't turn in. You know, there's a 6 meter long, 750 kilogram Red Bull on the inside of you. You can't turn into that corner. So the apex rule is a bit techie. I'm not a big fan of it. Like I say, as we go through, I'll bring up some pictures as well. It doesn't give consideration to who's on the inside, and I consider the inside slightly more valuable. So again, apex definitions and the inside, it's a bit techie. But look, when I zoom out here and I have a look at turn 4 holistically, Lando was entitled to some room. So the penalty I thought was a bit harsh though. I think 10 seconds for that, just given how grey the whole thing is and that I've just discussed how it's a bit techie. I would have gone with 5 seconds. I thought Max shoved him off. I thought 5 seconds would have been appropriate. It's kind of a slap on the wrist to say, you know, that's not the way we should be going racing at that point. Like I say, even though Max is on the inside, he's got sufficiently alongside. He's earned the right to some room. He's earned the right to a little bit of respect as well at that point in the corner and with that type of corner. Different situation to Austria, but we'll carry on here. Just to confirm and reiterate what I'm saying, you'll see Liam Lawson and Sergio Perez have a similar sort of ding-dong at turn 4 as well. In that particular example, Liam's left the door open, Sergio's gone in, and like I described before, there's a point at which Liam is in front, but Sergio has the inside, and Liam can't turn into that corner because, again, there's a big Red Bull there. So you've got a situation there where the rules about the apex and who's in front, they don't stack. because Liam's in front. So then is he entitled to the room even though Sergio's the one on the inside? Like, I personally, from a racer's point of view, I find the inside so much more valuable than being in front, because you can control and manage the corner from the inside. And that's the direction at which we're traveling. So the other car can't turn in until you've turned in. It's kind of you after me in that situation. So Liam's in front on the way in. Sergio gets the nose. They're pretty equal at the apex. But then it gets even more techie, because Sergio actually gets in front going through that left-hander. But then as you come through the next right-hander, Liam has the inside and Liam has shoved him off. So you've got the whole situation in reverse. Going into turn 5, you've got Sergio ahead going into the apex, Liam on the inside. Again, this is a case in point, exactly what I'm saying. Liam on the inside has just taken the corner, and it's naturally meant that Sergio has been pushed off here. And that's the other thing about this apex rule, is define pushed off as well. It's techie. Like, I think they're trying to go in the right direction with it, but I think it just doesn't, it's not going to hold water. I'd rather them say, we will give consideration to the following. A, who is ahead going into the corner. B, the corner type itself, that is apex, where it is, how long it is, and so on. And C, who has the inside and who is, in that situation, who would be entitled to some space. I think if they just put those 3 things in there and you leave it up to a referee and make a referee's call, yeah, you're going to get maybe a few inconsistencies, but it's not like we're getting exactly consistent things now because of what I've just said with Liam and Sergio. So I think having a referee make a decision and blow a penalty there, just holistically looking at the whole thing, like we did with the Max and Lando thing, you can see that Lando's entitled to some room and Max has shoved him off, and it's 5 seconds, and that's what it is. Like, no one's going to argue with that. But I think when we have to pull out a set of rules and read through the fine print, we're missing out on some of the crucial information, and we're not looking holistically at the picture and zooming out and having a good look at who's entitled to what. Just to finally add and finish on that point, I think with the Liam Lawson, Sergio Perez incident at turn 4, it highlights my point exactly what I'm saying, that the inside is so much more valuable than getting ahead. Sergio's on the inside going into turn 4, he gets in front. Then Liam's on the inside going into turn 5, and then he gets in front. So that's case in point for me. I rest my case there. Okay, let's talk about turn 7. Oof, the drama. This is where it gets techie with Max Verstappen, because I've always said that Max only has 1, maybe 2 weaknesses in his whole repertoire, including every skill set available, including attack, defense, restart, strategy, starts, fuel saving, tire saving, like the whole thing, mental mindset, constant, like Max qualifying, the whole thing. He's only got 1 weakness, I think, maybe 2. And those are, 1, mentally. I think it's not mentally, sorry. Mentally, he's actually very strong. I mean, emotionally is what I mean. When he gets upset and the car is not where he wants it, emotionally, he gets angry, he gets frustrated, he gets impatient. He does these silly things. This was silly. This cost Max points today due to emotional, lack of emotional control. So I've always said that might be an area in which he needs to clean up. If you look at Oscar Piastri, for example, so far from what we've seen is the total opposite. Oscar's very stoic, very level-headed. His drive in Baku was top tier. And that's the sort of thing that if I was coaching Max, I'd want to build in and be like, okay, the car's terrible. Lando's just kind of made that move at turn 4. Those are the sort of things that are feeding Max emotionally. He also knows he's going to run out of tire life in this race. It's techie. I know Max is going through his head thinking, I'm going to run out of tires. I've just lost the place to Lando. My car's terrible. I'm going to lose points anyway. I might as well just just throw the whole thing out the window. That's a mistake from Max Verstappen. It's unprofessional as well, that move. So I totally agree with the 10-second penalty for that one. Just going back to, even on this one, why Red Bull didn't just let Max back through? Like Carlos gave them the blueprint for what needed to be done. When you're in that situation, you feel like you're half in the wrong. The best thing to do is just let the car back through. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. This was a deserved 10-second penalty into turn 7. So I would have said 5 second penalty for what happened at turn 4, consistent with Austria's penalty as well. I just think it was borderline, 5 seconds for that. This one, I think 10 was fair, but I think from Max's point of view, this was not necessary at all. He didn't need to dive there. He could have just sat behind and had a good race, maybe finished in front of the Mercedes. He could have been looking at a few more points. Not good. Some points lost there from Max. He'll have to work on that moving forward. Now, here's the thing about the whole apex rule and who's on the inside and all that jazz. If you were to look at those rules in this turn 7 situation, Max is the one ahead at the apex. It's techie. Like he's clearly pushed Lando off track here. He's also on the inside. But if you just zoom out and look at this holistically, you'll just see that it's a crazy move from Max, and he's pushed Lando off, and it warrants a 10-second penalty. So the rule book, again, I think just needs. I think we do need less rules that are more concise, and they speak to the 3 points I said earlier. Like we just said, clumsiness from Red Bull to not let Lando back through there. To think that they would get away with that or some sort of cheap penalty was, like ambitious, ambitious thinking. It was not going to happen. So and just given that we've just seen Austria, and what Lando should have done was let him back through. We've just seen Carlos, who did let back through and then showed you how it's done. What are Red Bull doing here? Like, let the guy back through, save yourself the penalty, save the points. You need these points. It's 4 races left, 50-ish point gap. The guys, what are you doing? So there's 5, 6 guys, men and women on the pit wall. You've got to let him back through for the championship, for the points, for the interests of the team. So that was disappointing to see from a professional outfit like Red Bull. Okay, we're done with the drama side of things. I hope all that's clear. Ask me a question in the comment section if you do have one. Let's talk about strategy. Shortly after all that drama, they pitted Max pretty early. I'm surprised they did this. Number 1, they stuck him back in a bunch of traffic. Number 2, they gave him a long way to go on that hard compound tyre. Number 3, if there were to be a safety car, they wouldn't have been in a position to take advantage of that. It's techie. I probably wouldn't have done that so early. I think they pitted him lap 20s or 30s. Someone correct me, but I feel like it was early. It was much earlier than those around him as well. So I probably would have dragged that on a little bit longer. Imagine a safety car comes out and then maybe he can take the 20-second penalty. I'm not sure actually if you can do that under safety car in the rules. I have to double check. But there would have been more opportunities later. I would have preferred that Red Bull just don't stick him in a bunch of traffic, and give him some clean air, let him manage his tyres. So the whole thing from Red Bull, not to mention Checo's race, one to forget, absolute disaster. Let's talk about Carlos and Charles. We could see that Carlos had the upper hand there and he was kind of controlling things. I think with the Ferrari, given how good the front end is on that car, if they were running out of anything, they were running out of rears. And so I felt like because Charles is so good at managing tyres, but the front tyres, and we've seen that in Monza, Austin, etc. I think in this case, I think maybe he ran out of rears. I'll have to read up a little bit more about what happened there. But as I was thinking that and watching Carlos with the upper hand pulling away, then he goes off, due to rear grip on the final corner leading onto the pit straight. So yeah, that might be an area that Charles might need to improve. If you watch Carlos's onboard pole lap, you'll see a lot of short shifting, which is interesting. And what I mean by that is out of the slow speed corners, when downforce is not working, it's not active, Carlos's ability to just walk the car forward with a little bit of dull short shifting was really helpful in just getting forward momentum and forward traction. It's also helpful for the rear tires as well. So I want to compare and contrast. Was Charles doing that? Was he short shifting? How gentle was he with his throttle inputs? Those are the sort of things that you want to be doing to look after the rear tires. Okay, let's do our message to Argentina and Franco Colapinto. Hola a todos, ojalá que disfrutaste la carrera. Como decimos ayer en mi video otra, creo que la mejor estrategia puede ser empieza con neumáticos duros y ojalá que un coche de seguro algo va a pasar. Entonces Franco puede tener opciones al final de la carrera. Entonces creo que él lo hizo una buena carrera así, empezando con los neumáticos duros. no podría hacer algo mejor, en serio. Creo que la problema era la calificación ayer, antes. Creo que es la problema. Necesita más práctica en los neumáticos suaves. Dame un segundo. Una persona me dije neumáticos suaves se llama neumáticos blandos. ¿Me entiendes? Lo siento, no estoy acostumbrado a la palabra blandas, pero necesita practicar con los neumáticos blandas. Ayer para hacer más bien calificación, que es la más importante en México. Es como una Mónaco, como una Singapur. Es muy difícil pasar y pues mira, la carrera siempre era estar muy difícil empezando la carrera demasiado lejos, en serio. Con el accidente en la curva 1, no tengo opinión, en serio. No hay puntos si es culpa de Franco, no hay puntos si es culpa de la otra. Entonces, pues no es algo para decir sobre eso. En las próximas carreras, es muy importante para ver la carrera y ver qué es lo más importante para hacer, si es neumáticos, configuración del coche, mentalidad. Hay cosas que puede hacer para mejorar sus posibilidades de seguir adelante. La próxima carrera estaría Brasil, entonces una pista muy loca, muy difícil. Si tengo que decir que es algo más importante en Brasil, tal vez está mojada, entonces practica eso, pensar en eso ya en este momento. Puede ser difícil de pasar y defender también, los dos necesitan estar muy como listo, entonces necesita hacer una carrera y una fin de semana sin errores. Esto es la más importante en Brasil, pero vamos a ver y vamos a hablar durante la fin de semana como siempre. Como siempre, sigue el canal, mándame un comentario o pregunta, compartir con amigos y con tu social media también. Mucho gusto y vamos a ayudar a Franco lo más que podemos juntos. That's all for this video, guys. If you could please like this video, ask me a question or comment a thought in the comment section below, share it if you can as well, and give the video a thumbs up. All of these things help boost the channel. If you like the insights, it keeps me alive, it keeps me motivated to do more for you guys. Thank you so much. I think the chaos will continue in Brazil, so I look forward to discussing and digesting that weekend there then. Cheers.